Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show 147, and I'm pumped you're here today because today we're on with Chuck Castaneda, retired sheriff, laundromat owner for a long time. And he comes and drops a ton of wisdom, very humble guy. But just the more that he talks, the more you start to see how well he knows this business and how well he's running his business. So very cool episode, lots of very practical things. Chuck told me one of the main reasons he wanted to come on the podcast was because he wants to connect with more people. So with that said, hey, at the end of this interview, Chuck gives you ways to connect with him. So make sure you go connect with Chuck. And if you're looking for ways to connect with other laundromat owners or people who are trying to get into the business, maybe you're either a laundromat owner now or you're trying to buy your first laundromat, great way to get connected is through the Laundromat Resource community. We have a free community that you can go over and join and be a part of and meet other people. And then also we have the pro community, which is a great way to meet other people who are like-minded, who are serious. So check out laundromatresource.com/join and come join that free community. Or if you're ready to kind of step it up a little bit, come join the pro community. And listen, we're going to have a great time doing it. And we're all, aiming for that financial freedom or whatever your goal is. And that's where we get it done. So come join us over there. And with that said, let's jump into it with Chuck right after a quick tip from a sponsor.
Hello again, laundromat owners. This is John from BMR with today's quick marketing tip. Let me tell you, this tip could revolutionize how you attract new customers. And it's all about harnessing the power of Google Business Profile. In our digital era, the first interaction a potential customer has with your laundromat is likely through an online search. And where do you think they're searching? Bing's cool and all, but they're all on Google. Google Business Profile is not just a tool, it's your digital storefront. So by claiming and optimizing your listing, you make sure that when someone searches for a laundromat near me, yours pops up. And it's complete with all the vital information they need. Your location, your hours, your contact details, and even pictures of your facility. This visibility is key to drawing in new foot traffic. But it's more than just being visible. It's about being accessible, being credible. Customers can see reviews and ratings, and they also see how we respond to that feedback. This helps build trust even before they step through your doors. Plus, it provides insights into how customers are finding you, and that helps you tailor your marketing strategies more effectively. I know what you're thinking. This is too good to be true. There's gotta be a catch. Let me tell you, there is a catch, and the catch is it's completely free of cost. Costs you $0. And in a competitive market, this is a cost-effective way to enhance your local search presence, making it easier for your community to find you. So don't overlook this simple and powerful tool. Claim your Google Business Profile listing, keep it updated, and use it to connect with your customers. By doing this, you're not just washing clothes, you're growing a thriving, visible, and trusted business in your local community. For more free information about how to claim and optimize your Google Business Profile, visit us at buildwithbmr.com/Google Business.
Chuck, thank you for coming on the show, man. How you doing?
Great. Good morning, Jordan. How you doing?
Good morning. I am doing good. A couple of OC guys here hanging out.
Good day for podcast.
We should be doing this outside and in person. That's what I feel like. We should have probably coordinated better on that.
Yeah, maybe next time.
yeah. We got to do it again now, so we can do one, at the beach or something.
That's right.
I was jealous. Awesome. Okay. Well, hey, listen, I'm excited to hear your story. I'm excited to hear, how you got into this business and all the things you've learned and to jump into your story. So why don't you start by giving us a background of who are you?
Okay, I'm Chuck Castaneda, born on the West Coast, best coast, as you like to say, Jordan.
That's right.
And I just want to start out by saying I appreciate the podcast and everything you do for the laundromat industry. Learned a lot from it, watched probably just about all the episodes, and learned a lot of things, and kind of just reminds me of a lot of things I've already learned, and just kind of keeps you honest about running your shop the right way. So I appreciate that, and appreciate the opportunity to be on the podcast.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I mean, really, the real thanks goes to you and the other guests who've been willing to come on and and share your stories and share what you've learned and help each other out. So I appreciate that. And the thanks comes right back to you.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I got some of those seeds planted for entrepreneurship or running my own business early on. From my dad, he had his hand at a couple small businesses. He had a semi-truck roadside repair business and vacuum cleaner shop and repair business, a mattress shop. So got some of those seeds planted. And then also, I think being an entrepreneur or a small business owner takes a lot of work ethic, and built that early on. Also working at my dad's tire shop. Some long Saturdays. Every Saturday I was down there. He got me a uniform, had me punch the clock, and I was building all the displays, putting out bicycles and all electronics and all that kind of stuff. And then I was out in the tire shop running the impact gun, racking cars and balancing tires and putting them back up on the cars. And one thing I wasn't allowed to do was run the tire buster machine because that was too dangerous. But not that all those other things weren't pretty dangerous for like a 10-year-old. But luckily, no accidents. I also continue to build that work ethic, I think, from high school football. I got a lot out of that. You learn a lot out there on the field that I think transfers over into life and stays with you a long time. And you get those early successes that kind of gives you that confidence of being an entrepreneur later on. And also, I had a law enforcement career, and you give me that confidence to do a job like that. One of my first jobs was in the supermarket industry. Moved up quick. I was one of the chain's youngest service managers, and learned a lot there. Enjoyed that job, and thought maybe I was going to stick it there for the long haul and move up in management. But as I got older and wiser, I realized that maybe that wasn't the greatest career choice. So started looking towards firefighting. Started taking some of the prerequisites and getting ready for the academy and things. But as I looked more into that, I realized that was a long, uncertain road. And talking to some of the guys, they had been at it for years and no luck. So I looked towards a similar career in law enforcement. I realized I could probably get hired right away and get paid through the academy, and then be guaranteed a job afterwards, unlike firefighting. So I went ahead and put an application in the sheriff's department and passed the background and got hired pretty quickly. And 6-month academy, that was a pretty good challenge, and building that work ethic again, and that was interesting. So that usually the first assignment for us is in the jail system. That usually comes with an 8-year commitment before you move on to the next stage, which is usually patrol. One of the things I did there, and they stress and kind of pride themselves, their patrol deputies are pretty seasoned by the time they get out of there because they're close confines with the inmates. They could discuss with them how they commit their crimes and all the details about that. So by the time you get out, you start to learn how to recognize all that kind of thing and just be more observant and more effective. So I did that. But one of the things that it's more along the lines of what we're talking about today is I started realizing that a lot of my partners who were like in age were a lot more financially established. They had their own homes and they're investing. And so I started being a little mentored by them because I didn't get a lot of financial guidance growing up. So I made it one of my first, my big goals was to get in that first starter home. So I just started saving, working as much overtime as I could, and put together that money, and got into my first home about 12 months in. So that was pretty exciting. It was an older home, required a lot of fixing up and stuff. So I started learning about construction, which was helpful later on getting in the laundry business because I was able to do a lot of things for myself and save some money that way. So I continued on, but the bar had been raised. My partner was starting to get into investment properties now. And so, I'm competitive and I wanted to compete in that form too. So again, with the overtime, I was working as much as I could, putting that down payment together again, working as much as 18-hour shifts. So what they were doing, their strategy was getting into new homes, new construction. There's a lot of projects going on at that time. So I got my name on some interest lists and just kept saving that money, and got a call from one of the builders that they were going to be releasing a new phase of homes. So went down there, and I was way down on the list, but over the weeks and months, people start losing interest or they get other opportunities and moving other places. So my name got called, and they just walk you down the street and check out all the open plots of land and choose your spot. So that was pretty cool, pretty interesting. You get to choose the spot you're going to be at and watch all the phases of construction and get a brand new home. So I got moved in there, turned over my first home over to a management company and got it rented out and had my first rental. So moving up a little bit and getting excited about that. But I was starting to have headaches right away with the rental. Tenant turnover right away, and I was getting hit with all these management fees, and I got frustrated right away, and I sold that place. Got a pretty good little profit on it, and then I come to find out the builder of my home that I was in was starting a new project down at Ladera Ranch, and I inquired about that, and they offered opportunity to put me all the way up to the top of the first phase release. And as I saw, this is free money that's thrown at me because the way they were releasing those in the past is going up like 10 or 20,000 per phase release. So by the time they build out 8 or 10 phases, you're up pretty good on equity. So I got my name on that list and got my opportunity to get in the first phase and move down there. I decided to take on the management of the home I was in for myself. I was able to figure out how to do background check, credit check, and stuff like that. Just copied off from a management company the lease agreement and did that on my own. Got that place rented out, but I always kind of felt like I was way over leveraged, not really knowing what I was doing exactly, and trying to shore up that house of cards I had going. So I came across this opportunity to get in a startup company investment. They were going to revolutionize the way supermarkets price their shelves, and it's coming from that industry. I knew that was probably going to be a good idea because we were spending like overnight doing all those price changes and changing them back and doing over and over again. It's a lot of man hours. They were going to put LCD screens on the shelves, have a way of just having the main office do all the price changes, input, maybe a few guys do that, and then send it out to each of the stores and then out to the shelves. You save huge on man hours that way. So I thought that was good. It was supposed to have a great return on it, and I thought maybe I'd get my houses paid down and get in a better place. But I got a little too overconfident, and I decided to invest in a third property down in the Oceanside area. This is going to be the most expensive of all of them, and a lot more uncertain real estate out there in Oceanside. And this is around 2006, and real estate was getting, it was copping out a little bit, and I put $20,000 down on it, and I could see that real estate was not going the right direction. But $20,000 was non-refundable, and I didn't want to lose that money, so I was putting hundreds of thousands at risk to go chase that $20,000. And I went ahead and went through with it. And next thing you know, 2007 comes around, real estate's just falling apart. So I decided I was going to rent everything out, and laundromats was already on my radar because I was always looking for that next step, always hustling and stuff like that. So I decided I rented everything out, moved back into my sister's guest house. She had a cool little place in the back of her property. Moved in there and started looking for laundromats. And I found one that was 10 minutes away from where I was moving. Contacted the broker and met him out there and got all the details about it. And next thing you know, we opened up a 45-day escrow on the purchase of that place and did some due diligence. Wasn't very savvy. I had no idea, just like a lot of us that get in this industry. I didn't know what to do. We did those coin counts, which are not accurate, and there's nothing to them. He had this program that did a water analysis on his laptop, and that thing was pretty accurate, actually. It turned out to be, after it closed and everything, that the numbers were real close to what his water analysis said. But we did some back and forth to negotiate about $40,000, but I still overpaid. Just like a lot of the stories on this podcast, I know your experience wasn't savvy, didn't do what I should have done. So yeah, so that's how I got in the laundromat industry. And it's been a pretty good, interesting experience being in the laundry. And all the long while I've been working full time with the sheriff's department, working 3/12 shifts, just going over there in the evenings and just putting my hours in and trying to get the place rolling right.
Yeah. So, well, let's, okay, man, I mean, that's a lot going on. You got real estate going on. Did you end up investing in that startup?
I did. And it didn't turn out the way I'd hoped it did. No.
It didn't revolutionize it, huh?
No.
Yeah. Bummer. Well, I like the idea though. I mean, I think I think your instinct on it was good. So I'm wondering, it'd be interesting to dig into that. I need to start a different podcast to to hear that story more. But yeah, so you got a lot going on. So you moved into the guest house there. You've got your rentals going on, and what put laundromats on your radar?
Like I said, I was always just trying to find the next step because I always knew I was over leveraged and knew it wasn't something I could sustain over the long term. You know how the creative financing was going on in those days, and just paying interest only on those properties. I knew it wasn't sustainable, so always kind of looking for something to shore it up and something that could be sustainable.
So you found this laundromat. I mean, was this the first one you looked at, or did you?
Pretty much. Yeah, it was 10 minutes from where I was, and it did. I fell in love with it right away as far as where it was located and the way it looked, and I just thought I can handle this. It's en route from to and from work and close to the house, and something I can manage when I don't have a ton of time because I also had a 2-year-old. I was a single dad, and trying to be involved there and be a good dad, and so figured it was ideal as far as I could see.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, you got a lot going on. Jeez, man. Okay, so you found this laundromat. You found it just online or whatever?
I did online, yeah.
Yeah, some website, and then you contacted the broker. What was that purchasing? I mean, you said, "Hey, look, I didn't really know a whole lot of what I was doing," and I had similar stories. So, like, what was that process like of going through making the offer and doing any kind of due diligence?
Well, so one thing, like if you're purchasing a piece of real estate, you don't want it's kind of conflict of interest to have somebody double in something or to have in-house with one brokerage because it's a conflict of interest. So the same thing with this brokerage, the same brokerage was representing both the buyer and seller, so they're not necessarily on my side, so and we weren't very diligent in the due diligence phase. All we did is the coin count. You go there once every week, check the water meter to see how much water usage has been used, and then count the coins. But meanwhile, he's putting coins in there while you're not there, and it means nothing. So that was the main due diligence, is the coin count. So
yeah. Well, and having brokers double in deals, it's pretty common in our industry. It's not the rule, but or I guess it is the rule. There are exceptions, but I'd say more often than not, those brokers are representing both the buyer and the seller. So you do got to be careful in that scenario, And I always tell people, hey, if you're starting to see yellow flags pop up or those flags start turning orange or red,
right.
You either need to slow down, back out, or bring somebody else in who knows kind of what they're doing, so that you don't get hosed.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but there probably weren't that many resources out there for you at that time.
No, this was in 2007, right at the tail end, 2007, 2008.
Yeah. So okay, so you mentioned some price negotiations. Can you talk about that a little bit? What were the negotiations? What were they based on? What made you negotiate?
So, like I said, the main thing that we did was the coin count. They came out a little lower than what was claimed there, and then also he ran that water analysis, and they just input all the different types of machines you have, how many of each of them you have, and then it computes what the expected income is on that business. And that was considerably lower than, it's probably real accurate to what it really was doing. And so based on those two factors, we negotiated some price down on it, and that's where we ended up settling, about $40,000 from what it was listed at. $40,000.
Yeah, and that verifying the income that's the tricky part, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, if it's a coin store, which still most laundromats are coin stores, it can be just very difficult to pinpoint how much money's coming in. And so you do need to, I call it an income verification stack, right? You've got to stack different methods of verifying income to get that accurate picture. And so coin counts can be one tool for that, but there's, flaws in that method. We have a water analysis calculator that does the same thing. They're available on the website, and you can back into your income number based on how much water is used. So that, that's another kind of form of income verification, but it is tricky to be able to pinpoint that.
Like, there was no P&L. The utilities were not even complete, and and my representation wasn't real great as far as he wasn't pointing any of this out, or he wasn't caught up on any of that, and just figured out he just kind of represented that's his normal.
Yeah, and
it's just a shot in the dark. You're just shot
more normal than it should be.
Yeah, right.
So, I'm curious, right now, like, let's say you were going to buy another one today. Is there anything you do differently?
Yeah, I would probably, I'm still, to be honest, not super savvy, but I am, I know what to look out for. I know where to go find out or get somebody who does know all these different things and have them in my corner and make sure it's all checked out. There is some value just to go with, it was making some profit, and there's value in that infrastructure and the location and the convenience of it being by my house. It turned out to be a really good store. I'm happy with it. I would do it again. I just wouldn't do it exactly the same way. I would buy that same store. The only kind of restriction with it is a 2,000 square foot store, and it's maxed out in equipment. There's no space for any drop off or any kind of storage like that. So I'm pretty much restricted to being a self-serve laundry. There's not really any growth there for drop off or anything like that.
Yeah. Did you? Well, hold on, we'll get there.
Okay.
So you renegotiated this thing a little bit, got the price down. Did the owner push back a whole lot, or were they like, okay, whatever, take it off my hands?
We just it's just like a car negotiation. Like we set something super low, and then he came back with a certain price up from there, and then we went back for it a handful of times, and we ended up just settling on. I said, okay, I can deal with that, and I was just mostly trying to pay my note and have a couple thousand extra, and then go from there and figure out as I went, just like I did with the real estate and a lot of things I've done in life. It just kind of figured out, like I was happy with a little bit of profit, and you get that initial loan paid down, and then just improve it.
Yeah, learn by doing. I love it.
Yeah, that's
my philosophy. It has not always paid off for me.
Right. Yeah.
That's the preferred method in my camp. My wife, on the other hand, complete opposite of that. Not a learn by doing kind of person.
Right.
All right. So you got kind of the classic haggle going on. What's funny about the haggle, especially when there's one broker kind of representing, a lot of times the broker and the seller have this conversation of like, what do you want to get for it? And then the broker advises you to offer less, and then the broker advises the seller, okay, offer a little less than your original, and then they end up on that number the broker already knew beforehand, and just cut it all out and just what's the number here?
Exactly.
I've seen that happen lots of times. Okay, so you got the haggle going on, and you came on a price. You did a little bit of due diligence, and then take me to the day. Like you get the keys, you open the door, and it's your laundromat.
Yeah, right at the end of 2007, December. Seemed like as soon as the old owner walked out, I got 100 complaints with the dryers. The dryers aren't hot, they're touching them all, and they're like, and so I didn't know what to do. I started checking them out, and I just kind of had an inclination. I'll pull the fronts off, and pulled one of them off, and it was like completely stuffed with lint. It was like a trash can full. And so that was my thing every night. I work at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., get off and go start pulling those fronts off and just clearing them out and looking inside there and figuring out what was going on in there. They had taken this heat shield that was supposed to direct the way the heat is into the tub and how it dries, and they took those all off. So those were all missing. A lot of the fins that are inside the tub themselves, they had fallen out, and he just put them in the back room. So you just have this rod in there, and the clothes are just all catching on there, and they're just stuck on there, and they're just not doing what they're supposed to. So I got those all installed in there, cleared them all out, ordered those heat shields, got those things installed, and just went down the line every night. I'd pull those fronts off and get as many done as I could. Then I figured out in the back, he had like about 4 stacks manifolded into one penetration through the roof. And that's not right, because you just don't have the right ventage and they're just not going to work right. And you also end up with a bunch of lateral runs of venting where the lint just collects in there. And I opened up one of those. It's completely constricted, 100% of lint. So I got some new penetrations in the roof. I just went down to 2 stacks through one hole out the roof. And then over on the top, they also had them all manifolded together to try and direct it away from the air conditioning. So I took all that off, and so they were starting to work. And then he had the programming on the front, where he was given a lot of time to compete with the laundry across the street, but it was all cool down time. So I got a good program in there, got all that lint taken care of, got all the parts put back in there, and they're a lot more happy with that, and getting more customers and a lot less complaints. And the next thing I started, the other big complaint I was getting was the hot water, no hot water. He had the boiler turned way down to basically nothing. So I turned that back up, had a guy come out and check out the boiler and get that tuned up. And then he had bought 14 new machines. The owner had only had it for about a year. He bought it, and his wife was supposed to run it. He was running a trucking company, and the wife wasn't going to do it anymore. So he was just trying to get out of it and just trying to get his money back out of those 14 machines he had bought in the purchase of the business. So, but anyhow, those machines were mounted right up against the bulkhead, and the hot lines were completely restricted off. So it wasn't getting any hot water in there. So I got that remedied and got the boiler turned back up. So, things were rolling along, and I was getting more customers and getting the place tidied up, doing a little painting. But after about 3 or 4 months, I realized it wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing income-wise. So I contacted the broker back and told him, hey, it ain't earning what we said it was going to be. And I got some support to show him how it wasn't. So we contacted the owner back, and he agreed to meet back at the shop and discuss it a little bit. And I didn't get out of him what I thought I should have, but I got an extra $10,000 out of it, and that was good towards some more improvements. So I felt a little less taken advantage of, and things were rolling along. I was getting the hang of things, but after 12 months, I got another surprise how I'd been misrepresented. The cam charge was it had been described in the lease that it was plus or minus $300. So if it was over $300, I would pay the difference, and if it was under, I'd get a rebate. And they'd been managing it for a lot of years, so I've assumed historically it was close to that, and they'd have it figured out. But it wasn't. It was substantially more than $300. So that was another hit on the income, because I had this huge cam bill. 12 months into it, they didn't bill. They billed it in the rears. So a whole 12 months had gone by, and here's a surprise bill. And I had already signed off with the previous owner that I wasn't going to approach him anymore for any other kind of inconsistencies or anything like that. So the only thing I had was to go approach the landlord. So I consulted with a real estate attorney and told him what was going on, and I requested all the cam bills and everything, and it was accurate. That's what the cam was. So luckily the landlord gave me a break the first couple of years. It was a pretty good break. So after 2 years, I was rolling enough that I could afford that cam. But it was a ripoff from the previous owner and another misrepresentation.
Dude,
So.
well, I mean, it sounds like a rough go. Right off the bat, you got dryers that aren't getting hot and they're all run incorrectly, stuff with lint. You've got washers that are mounted too close to the bulkheads and there's no hot water. You've got this cam charge that you didn't know was going to be. And, that's, talking about due diligence, that's one where you can request the previous cam charges from previous years from the landlord.
Right.
And also, you can ask the landlord, hey, are there any big expenses coming up? Because I've seen people get hit where the cam charge is normal, except for they needed a new roof that year or something like that was included in a cam charge. Which is common, just so we're all on the same page, common area maintenance is to maintain the common areas.
Right.
That's what a cam charge is. And so you have, you want to ask, beforehand, are there any big projects coming up here? How old's the roof, and anything else that you're kind of responsible for? When's the parking lot getting redone, or when is the last time it was redone? That kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough start there. How are you feeling about this purchase at that point in time?
Well, I pretty much had to make a goal of it. I was already invested in it, and one of the reasons I kind of jumped at this one, and was, like you said, it was one of the first ones I saw, and I knew that there was potential. My credit was going to be taking some hits with my real estate, and I may not be in a position to be able to get any other store. So I was able to get this one. I hadn't taken any hits yet, and and I even told my broker that probably something you don't want to divulge, but with the double ending, there were still two brokers. I don't know if that's understood. There was the seller's broker and then my broker, but they just both worked for the same distributor. Back when PWS was selling stores still, they're not doing that anymore. Right. They're not PWS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and honestly, I mean, look, if you know you're going to take a hit and you're not going to have the opportunity later, take your shot. Yeah. Well, that's a rough way to get in. So like year one, I mean, were you, with all the setbacks and everything, I mean, was it in the positive? By the
Slightly. I mean, I was paying all my bills. I was paying the loan and a little bit of profit. Not too much. Yeah. Close to a break even. Because it ebbs and tides. You don't get the same expenses every month, but you get hit with these unexpected things. So overall, it was about a break even.
Yeah, which, I mean, I would have killed for a break even in my
that's not too bad. I mean, you got all those you got your water and your gas and all the infrastructure, and there's costs to that. And it was a good location, so convenient location, and so I didn't feel too bad about it overall.
Yeah. Well, and that's good. I mean, like, being able to, kind of hit that break even and feel, okay, like I have a solid place to move forward, like to jump from here.
Right. Yeah, and then I got some luck pretty early on. There was a laundry that closed a couple blocks away. The school there was expanding, and they were taking over a strip center there. And so they got shut down. I don't know how that all worked, but they got shut down. So I benefited from that, and I kind of got word from it, and I did a 10 flyer distribution everywhere. It made a pretty impactful. It was pretty impactful for my business. So that was some good luck early on, first year.
You take that for sure. Did you? Kind of brings me to my other question: is were you doing? So, I mean, it sounds like you made, some infrastructure improvements with like the dryer vents and stuff, and getting the hot water flowing to the machines, and getting that boiler up and running and all that stuff. I think you said you painted, stuff like that. Anything else you did to the store early on?
Also with the dryers, everything wrong with the dryers, because there was about a 500-pound deficit from wash poundage and dryer poundage. There's about 500 deficit. So I changed the layout a little bit. There was some washers in the wall, the dryer wall. Like your guy Andrew says no washers in the wall. So I got those washers out of the wall and freed up some space for some more dryers. And so I bought about 5 more stacks, and got that poundage more equal to the wash poundage. So that was good, because you get that bottleneck and you can't get more customers in there because there's that was a big improvement. And then just from there I started, over the years I never did a full retool, but I would just do partial retools and just try to make the smartest decisions of what the best machines would be next, and just kept retiring some of those old ones and improving and get some new ones in there. And that's how I've been doing it.
Yeah. Did you do any, like, you did this flyer run when that store closed down? Did you do any other marketing to try to, I mean, because you were mentioning the business was growing and stuff. Did you do anything, or just, hey, I'm taking care of the place? And
I did a few flyer distributions, and also I'd paint the windows up various holidays I would do, and then I would do some kind of giveaway, Christmas giveaway, Thanksgiving giveaway, and have that painted on the windows. They come in and enter our Christmas giveaway or Thanksgiving giveaway, and I give away gift cards. And also, I noticed a lot of people were in walking distance, and they would walk from their apartments to my store. So I give away a laundry cart, one of those like beach type roller carts, and those are pretty popular. People like that. And also did a free dry Wednesday. Wednesday is usually the slower day. So what I did is I just take out the coin boxes, and you just get your quarters back. So the free dry Wednesday, and that was pretty popular. I had people coming up and like shaking my hand, hey, thanks a lot. Because people at that income level, these type of things are a big thing to them. I mean, it may not, strike us as being anything, but it's a big deal to them, and nobody's offering that. I have a laundry right across the street. I have one block to the south and one to the block to the west, and they ain't doing nothing like that. So, I was different than most of them. So that, those are the things that I did.
Cool. Well, and you're right. I mean, it does make a big deal, and it is impactful when you do things for the community, right? Like,
Right.
And you offer them, opportunities and options to save some money or to get better service or both.
Yeah.
Or to have just the machines work.
Yeah.
Basic things.
Right.
Do you feel like, I mean, you mentioned, hey, you're like right in the midst of like 4 laundromats. Do you feel like you were able to pull customers from those other laundromats, or where do you think the growth was coming from?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, early on, I had that luck with that store closing, but the word of mouth travels pretty quick. They realized something was different. There was a new owner there, and they start talking, right? And they say, hey, this is the place to go. And then you start to recognize some of the same people. You treat them nice, and I would just approach some of them, some of the faces I see a lot, and just give them money to say, hey, here's a little bit of discount. I appreciate your business, and they like that, But I wasn't always there. It's an unattended laundromat, and I'm working my shifts over at the sheriff's department. So there's a lot of streaks where I wasn't there, and it just ran. That's the beauty of this business, and that's why I got into it, because a lot of my partners were, like I told you early on, working a lot of overtime to available. I wasn't able to anymore because I was a dad, single dad, and my days off were with him. So I just get the time in when I can, go get things taken care of when I can, and they just wait till I get there. So yeah, that's the way I worked it, and it's the way it's run all these years.
What were the other laundromats like that are around yours? Were they kind of a similar kind of condition as when you took over? Were they better, bigger, newer?
Yeah, the one directly across the street, it was in pretty good shape, better shape than my store when I took over, but it's small. You can't really get that busy because it's small. So, I mean, you get several people in there, it looks super crowded. So they had that going against them. And then the one far block to the south, that was just kind of a zombie mat, and still is. And then the one to the west, that was a pretty nice one. That was looking, it was pretty new looking, and it was better condition than mine at the time. But go ahead.
Go ahead.
They haven't done anything over the years though. They've been running the same way, and now they're kind of all 3 zombie mats. So I'm the one that's the best one in the area there.
Did that scare you at all when you?
Oh yeah, I mean, you often talk about price increases, and I was terrified to raise my price. I just go look and see what they're charging, and the one across the street's always been kind of the low price leader. And, so I was like, they're charging this, how could I charge anything more, But I started to learn about value, like Dave Menz talks about, offer a different product and you charge accordingly. And I've really only been super confident about that in the last year, really, after doing this for 16 years. I finally, because now it's my full-time thing, and now I'm more serious about it. And, back then I could take it or leave it, it was important to me, but I had a career and I had a job. So it wasn't a do or die thing over there before, because I could, if it didn't work, it didn't work. It'd be a lot better if it did.
Yeah. Be better if it did. But yeah, I mean, you're right. When you have a different income, you're not relying on that income source. It's a different
mentality. Yeah.
Different mentality for sure.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, that brings up a question. I know you have like kind of a unique full-time job where you're doing 3 12-hour shifts.
Uh-huh.
But what was it like working full-time, owning a laundromat? How was that experience for you?
It's manageable when I was working in the jails because it's consistent. A lot of things a lot of times with law enforcement, you never know when you get off. Sometimes you're working 18 hour days and you're exhausted. And so I worked a lot, the majority of my career in the jails and then a transportation bureau, which are, when you're going to get off for the most part. But when I worked patrol, that's when my business really took it because I wasn't there, and you could tell. I mean, people could tell, and my business went down considerably during that time. Um, so it just depends on where it is you're working and what you're responsible. Yeah, it's a tough thing to do to try and work patrol and try and manage that business. But luckily, most of the time I wasn't in patrol. So
Yeah. Out of curiosity, I mean, what made that more difficult than working the jail? Just the unpredictable times or longer hours?
yeah, it's a lot more. You never know when you're gonna get off. You got to get in earlier and get all your equipment checked out, get your computer up, and just get in the right mindset and get ready for your shift. It's a lot more challenging in patrol than it is in controlled environments of the jails or transportation bureau, which I spend a good amount.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Would you recommend, something I get asked a lot, so I'm just kind of curious on your perspective. No right or wrong, I don't think, on this question, but would you recommend somebody who's working a full-time job, like, get a laundromat?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like my take on doing the podcast is try and outline it for guys that are doing it as a side hustle because I know you got a lot of guys on here that are building stores and have a lot of locations and everything. But it's a great side hustle. I mean, I've made some great income over the years, and like you said, it waits for you for the most part. As long as you get it set up right and have a good operation, they're forgiving. People are forgiving as long as they know they can get a hold of you and know how to get their money back if things don't work out. But for the most part, all my machines are always up and running. Get a good mechanic. I have a guy that stops in once a week and checks on things. For the most part, I do a lot of the work, but he's also in partnership, I guess, with both of us, keeping things up and running. And my plumber, who's been with me a long time, he goes around to a lot of different laundromats, and he can see something different happening at my store. He tries to recommend a lot of different things with those guys, and none of them want to have anything extra or even have him come on a regular basis. So, I mean, yeah, as long as you can manage keeping everything up and running and presentable, and you can get over there and at least be reasonable about when you can attend to things, yes, for sure, it's great side business.
Do you know, like on average, I know it varies a lot, but on average, when you were working, I know you're not working now, you're retired from the sheriff, but when you were working, about how many hours were you doing stuff for this laundromat?
But early on, like I said, I was in there every evening, as many hours as I could stand. But as I got things dialed in and under control, probably about 15 hours. Just depends. Things come up. Sometimes you come in there with a flood, and you think you're just going to be there for a half hour or 45 minutes, and you're there for hours. You got to realize that those things are going to happen. But by and large, if you weigh it against running some other type of business with a similar income level, the time involvement is way less. And you can't run a restaurant or something else like that and think that you're just going to take care of things when you can get around to them. You got customers there; they need to be taken care of, or they're not going to go there anymore. So the customers are a lot more forgiving. As long as you keep a decent level standard of cleanliness, and they can tolerate some dryer sheets on the ground and some disarray and everything, as long as they know. They like to see me in there. They know that I'm the owner, and they see me doing things, and that goes a long way with that blue collar class of people. They see the owner doesn't think he's still above any of this, and he's in there, and they love that.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right on that. I see that with my unattended mat too. Where when I pop in, I'm able to have conversations with people. I'm able to catch up with them on what's going on with their lives, their kids, all that stuff. And I
Yeah.
seem to really like that a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And they better tolerate those dryer sheets because they're the ones who throw them on the ground. So.
Exactly.
Any other, just out of curiosity, I don't want to like gloss over this in case you have anything, but any other tips that you have for somebody who's trying to work full time and run a laundromat, or anything else they should be thinking about?
Just have like an organized plan of how you're going to attack things, and keep a to-do list, and then try and organize your schedule on how you're going to get those all done. Stay on top of machine maintenance, and don't let those things go by the wayside and let them stack up on you, or else you're never going to get caught up, and then your business is going to suffer too. So don't neglect it. To keep it serious. Even though it does lull you into thinking that it'll just do its own thing, it's not. So you got to treat it serious. You got to be responsible about it. So yeah.
Cool.
Just have an organized plan.
Cool. Love it. That's great advice. And, I love hey man, keep it to-do list and make sure you're checking stuff off of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, for whatever reason, my to-do lists tend to grow faster than I can check things off. So
Right. Yeah.
That's common or not, but
Yeah.
So, you've been in this business a long time. I know you're being very modest and humble about, I only have one store, yada, yada, yada. But you've been, you've got that longevity here. You've been in this business for 16 years now. So just, a couple of things around kind of that longevity is, number one, how do you, you kind of already mentioned this a little bit, but maybe you can talk a little bit more about how do you think about machine replacement? How do you know when it's time to replace machines, or how do you make those decisions?
Like I said, I really didn't think I had the confidence early on, and for many years until here recently, kind of taking guys like Dave Men's advice on provide a value and price how you need to price things, and but it did backfire a little bit on me here recently. I just got 9 new machines, or the touch, the Lions Touch models. And I went up pretty significantly, my biggest jump in price yet. And I lost a good amount of customers, I think, over it, because my income is right about what it was prior to the new machines, but I'm up 25% on the price, so that indicates that there's some loss of customers there. So that you gotta weigh that out, and I think you need to be more gradual and just keep doing it, and not put it off and then think you're gonna gain it all at once. But you said when to replace machines is, they'll last a long time as long as you keep the maintenance up on them, and keep them keep those decals on the front replaced, and just keep them cleaned regularly, and keep those soap dispensers, keep that mold out of there, or the mold out of the door seals, because that's unsightly, and people don't want to use machines looking like that. But I still have, right when I took it over, they just put 14 new machines in there, and I still have 8 of those. Everything else has been replaced since over the 16 years, and partial retools. But those 8, they don't look bad at all. They're still doing the job. They're still reliable. There's no out of service tags on any of those, and you can replace anything on them. It's just like a used car. It just depends. The maintenance become more expensive, but it all depends on how busy a store you are and how many turns you're getting on those too. That's going to vary from store to store. You got a super high volume store, your machines aren't going to last nearly as long. But I'm a medium volume, and just keep them up, and just see what your budget's like, and see what you can afford. I hope that answers that.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Thank you for kind of talking through some of that. Kind of on the theme of longevity in the business. Have you found anything that you have kind of discovered has helped with helping you maintain, longevity in this business? 16 years is a long time.
Just treating those customers right. I've got customers that were there the whole time, and they appreciate me. I appreciate the service I offer to them, and like one of your guests says, extension of their home, and I try and treat it like that. And I got this mural coming up. I've been working on for some time now, and it's all the different local businesses in the area, and the local school, the high school, and different things that make up the community that I serve there. And I think that's going to be a good hit with with the customers there. And the theme that I want to incorporate more of is the community theme. My website says how I serve, the community there, and it's a family business. And I've often took my son there, and he's grown up there, and some of my long-term customers remember when he was a little kid there, and that, it makes a more homey family atmosphere there. And so, they feel like I'm the laundry for them. I'm the guy that they know who's serving them. They see my face there a lot. And so, it's kind of that's good.
Yeah, no, that's huge. It's huge. And I think it means something.
Yeah.
To people, especially in listen, we're a community centric business, especially on the self-serve side. Like that is, it's about the community, it's about the people. I love the mural idea. When you get that thing done, we'll have to get a picture of it, because I think that.
Yeah. It's going up next week, so I'm pretty excited about it.
What do you? Not to get too into the weeds of that, but like, what is it? Is it like a wall decal, or
it's a big one though. It runs the whole like dryer wall, kind of like was Jodan in Kentucky. He's got his Kentucky stuff up there, but it's more of a cartoony type thing, and so it's pretty neat looking.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to see how that comes out. 'Cause that's
I'm excited.
It's cool, right? It's like making those ties to the community, and really all that's doing is strengthening your positioning in the community also.
And they've seen me show up in uniform a couple of times, and so check on things. There's some kind of thing where I was able to sneak over there and go remedy a quick problem, and so I think, and they talk a lot, like I said, so they know it's law enforcement run. So sometimes that goes, that's a good thing too. So when I got my patch up and incorporated in my mural up, that's going to go up there too. So
that's cool.
So, yeah,
that's cool. Well, that brings up a question. Listen, I've been through it over here with my mats. What's in your laundromat? Do you have many problems with vandalism or homeless people trying to set up?
Yes, similarly, like
laundromat, right? So
similarly, like you tell the story. There was two brothers and a nephew who were residents at my store. They lived there. One time I caught him, like, there was a little access door in the bulkhead, and he was living in there. There's this little apartment in there, and they knew my schedule. They knew they would scurry away when I got there, but they were right back. I was gonna be gone for hours. I called the police, and they weren't very effective in getting. They're just like, oh yeah, we know those guys, and that's so and so and so and so, and they're harmless, but they're not harmless to your business.
Not to your business.
They're like laying across under the fan, where my biggest money producer machines are. And ladies and their kids, they don't want to go over there. They're afraid of them or intimidated. They don't go at all. Maybe they don't even show up at all. It was years that I dealt with those guys. That was the problem. And there is quite a bit of homeless people around there, but they always just want to find a place that's where they don't get bothered, where nobody, this place where they could be by themselves and nobody bothers them, and that's not my place. I go up and down the whole center. Like, it doesn't matter if it's in front of my store or way down at the corner of the center. I don't let nobody hang out there, and I'll go give them a hard time, and that's not what they want. They want somewhere to just be left alone, and if they don't want to listen to me, then I call the police. And so they know that's not the center to be at, and for the most part, I'm pretty.
Yeah, and I think that's the approach you have to take. Is you've got to be proactive about it. The way that I kind of framed it was it's this balance of making your laundromat comfortable for the people that are supposed to be there and uncomfortable for the people that aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah,
it's easier said than done, but you're right. Like, they just want to go somewhere where they're not going to be bothered and they can kind of do their own thing, and so you can't give. It's like this cat and mouse game, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't give them that space, otherwise, like you said, they literally will move in. And I don't know, man, living in a bulkhead.
Yeah, I don't have any power plugs for my customers if people want to charge their phone or whatever, but I don't have any, and it's like inconvenience for my customers. But like you said, if you make it, some of the conveniences that you provide there for your customers are convenient for homeless people. and then they want to hang out there. They want to use the free Wi-Fi. I
Yeah.
offer free Wi-Fi, and then they're trying to plug their things in. It's a hard decision on what you're going to offer.
Yeah. I mean, I had the same. I systematically started taking out outlets, and then they started opening up the bulkheads, and I had Horizons, Horizon washers, and they just plug in.
Right.
And so they'd unplug the machines and charge their phone.
Yeah.
And I was like screwing down, bulkheads with weird screw heads so they couldn't just
they don't
screw
have
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, dude,
Right.
God, come on, guys. It's literally a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
They would do something, and I would do something to counter it, and then they would counter me, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Stupid.
we're shadowboxing here.
All your efforts aren't going towards the business.
Right.
Going towards dealing with these guys.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, because it is rough, and especially if you're in, a big urban area, especially on the coast, but I think kind of all over.
Mm-hmm.
You're in these urban areas, and you got an unattended laundromat. Like, people are just looking for a place to be indoors and not
Right.
bothered. Be able to charge their stuff and all that stuff. And like you said, it's this trade-off for your customers. And a lot of times they understand that. The people in the community, they know who the people are too, and
Right.
they
Yeah.
understand, like, hey, if I have outlets here, then people are going to be hanging out trying to charge their phones and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, you're trying to serve the customer as best you can. You're trying to give them the conveniences and the comfort, but you can only go so far if you got that unattended laundromat. For sure.
Yeah, busy stores though, when it's busy times, it deters them as well. Busy store, they want a quiet, zombie mat with nobody there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's true. Yeah, probably the best way to remedy that situation, like of having homeless people hanging out, is just be busy all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That fixes a lot of your problems, actually.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I mean, 16 years. Kudos to you. It's a
thank
big
you.
deal. You're downplaying a lot, but it's a big deal, and especially doing it while you're working, and especially doing it while you're a single dad and you're working.
Yeah.
And doing the job you're doing too is it's a stressful job. So kudos to you. What's it been like this last? You say it's been about a year that you've been retired,
Right.
What's it
About a
been
year.
like? What's the difference, and what's it's been like the last year since you've been retired from the sheriff's department?
No, I'm taking it a lot more serious now. I'm putting in some regular full days there. One of the things that I always wanted to have 80-pound machines in there, but I just wasn't really equipped to have them in there, and required to shut down and bust out the concrete and pour 10 inches of concrete, and just had I didn't want to take that risk. But so I decided to do a retool and get those 80-pound machines finally, and I had to have the door rebuilt because the island was going to be in the doorway, so shut down for about a couple weeks and did a partial retool. Got those touch machines like I was telling you, and repainted everything. And I'm just taking it more serious. I got my shirt with my logo on there.
Something good, by the way.
Yeah. I got the logo up on the wall in there, and I got that mural coming, and I'm just starting to be more professional about it, and see how I can where I can take it. Like I said, kind of entertaining, looking for a partnership, because even though I have a lot of experience in it, I still don't think I have the complete everything that it needs to be successful in this business. There's some things I'm strong at, and some things more of the hands-on and the day-to-day and the operations. But the management, I don't have employees and never have, and I don't know all the ins and outs of having employees, and so I've always wanted to have more stores, but I'm kind of glad probably it was better that I didn't, because it's better just to be really good at too thin when you're trying to still have a job, full-time job and stuff like that. So just kind of one of the reasons I'm doing the podcast is trying to get out there more, and trying to get a LinkedIn profile going, and just seeing what's out there, and just seeing find some more like minds and see what maybe I could put together for some growth in the business.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we'll definitely have a link to your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
In the show notes, and if you're on YouTube,
Yeah.
it'll be down in the description down there, and then hit the subscribe while you're going down there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and I think that's great, man. I think that coming on the podcast and is a great way. I'm not trying to self-promote the podcast or coming on the podcast, but you should, if you own a laundromat, come on the podcast. But it's a great way to do exactly that, to do the networking stuff, because you're coming on not solely saying, hey, I'm looking for somebody to partner with, or hey, I'm looking for, people to network with and to learn from and all that. But you're coming and you just, you've told your story. You've given a ton of very practical, dare I say, sage advice already, and more to come. First, right? And that's the kind of thing. You're treating your desire to kind of grow and expand like you've been treating your laundromat, which is, take care of other people first, and good things happen. People respond to that. So definitely reach out to Chuck if you're just looking to network or want to meet another laundromat owner or are interested in partnering.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, with that, let's do a slight transition. It's not really that big of a transition here, but down to business is a segment we got on the podcast here, and just want to ask a couple more specific questions about your portfolio.
Okay.
So you're here in Southern California, yeah?
Right.
Awesome. Out of curiosity, and feel free to not share if you don't want to share, but what happened with the real estate stuff? Did you end up having to let it go?
Yeah, pretty much. I still have the initial new construction home. I still have that home, and I'm still kind of looking to grow in real estate again. But for a while there, I was just trying to get back to just being on par and just trying to raise my son and just trying to get my finances straight again for a while there.
Yeah, 2007, 2008 was it was brutal for so many real estate investors. So again, kudos to you for having the foresight or the luck or whichever, or maybe a little bit of both, to get into laundromats when you did, but also just for kind of persevering through that. That's that's not easy to do when you're going through that.
Yeah.
So for your stores here in Southern California, do you mind sharing what is it costing to do laundry at your store?
Yeah, sure. Starting with the top loaders, they're $325, and then I have 20 pounds. They're also priced the same, $325. 30 pounds are $4. 40 pounds are $5.75. The 60s are $7.50, and the 80s are $9.25, and they're $9.75. But with the Alliance or the Speed Queen, they have the multipliers, and so those you can raise the price a little bit. They choose the tier they want to wash. Yeah, it just basically adds minutes to the wash, an extra cycle, or depending on how you program it. And the dry is 50 cents for 10 minutes on the 30 pound, and 50 cents for, I think, 7 minutes on the 45.
Yeah. So I know you said you feel like maybe you've lost some customers after putting in the new machines because the prices went up a lot. Mm-hmm. And how long ago did you put those in?
Put them in December.
Okay, so it's February now, so it hasn't been that long yet.
No.
So I think, hang tough. I think that'll really
work its way out.
Yeah,
I think I've already seen some of the customers coming back. They go out. It's kind of, sometimes it's not even a bad thing because they go out and see what's available, what's the alternative, and then they realize where the value is, and then get them back. So.
Yeah. But I was curious, for the customers who did stick around, what's been their response to the new machines and the touchscreens? And
I think they really like them. It has that little flag on there, so a lot of them are Spanish speaking, and you teach them how they could touch on that flag and then have it in their own language. And so that's a neat little thing, and kind of the touch screen, something they've never seen, so they can kind of see where the value is, or why it's priced more. I got some 200G. I should have went with all 200G, but I don't want to shut down that long because it requires a concrete crack out and then a 10-inch pour. So I went with 200G on the front line that has my 80s and my 60s, and then I got 6 new 40s, and those are just 100G. But that's a good idea because they have 450G out there now with the Continentals, or so that's what you're competing with. That's what that's what's out there. So you got a store that comes in and puts that in there, then you might have some problems.
Yeah, and just So everybody's, well, you want to explain, just so everybody's on the same page, what's a 100G, 200G? What are you talking about?
It's when it's spinning out and it comes out, and then if it's a 100G, it's still gonna have a lot more moisture than a 200G or a 450G. So let's just say on the top is 450G, then it's not gonna require much dry time. So the customer's gonna save some dry time, and they're gonna get out of your laundry quicker. And that's what the sales pitch is on those sellers, distributors of the 450Gs. That you're going to get a turnover. You're going to your laundry's never going to be bottlenecked or real busy because people are going to be in and out of there. But something to consider with those 450Gs is they beat themselves up. You can hear you go in there and they're just loud as hell. And then also they're a bigger footprint, so you're going to get fewer of those because they're wider. So that's one thing to consider. I wouldn't go with them, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. No, yeah. And that's, I think those are conversations that are hard to have in a podcast format, but we haven't really had too many of those conversations of like, what are the different kind of options for the machines, pros and cons of them. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, you're an unattended laundromat, but you said you've been there a lot more lately. Are you there like working on stuff? What are you doing while you're there?
Oh, I collect a couple times a week. That's and I got to do at least a couple times a week. And then I was putting in a lot of hours because I was taking on part of that retool. I got new bulkheads. I had them custom fabricated at a metal shop. I had them done in stainless steel. They did a really great job. They just did it off-site and did it to my specifications. I drafted a little something out for them, and they worked out great. Got those old bulkheads out of there, and I did a lot of the work because they were just bare metal, so I had to build all the panels into them. I welded all my copper. I put all new copper from the ceiling down into the bulkhead, so I replaced all the copper in there and all the drains. So it was all fresh behind the new machine. It was just a good thing to consider when you put that investment of $100,000 or more in new machines. You want them working optimally, and if you got all that old, infrastructure back there, you're gonna have smelly bulkheads and slow drains, and nowadays with the bigger poundages of 60 and up, they have 2 colds and 2 hots as far as the leads into the back of the machines, and so you're not going to have enough hose bibs to facilitate that. They usually just put a Y on there, and then you don't have the right amount of volume going into them. They're not working right, and so it's a good idea just to try and get it all done. And if you can do it yourself, you save a lot of money. So I was putting in. You said what was the time involvement? I was doing all that, and they needed me to keep up with the installation because they needed those bulkheads in to be able to get the machines in. And so, I was on a tight time schedule with them to try and get it all done. So that was through December. I was doing all that. And then I've been doing some painting. And I have this kind of like a corrugated metal wainscot on the side, and replaced all that. It wasn't done right in the first place. Someone else did it, so I redid it all. And just getting ready for that mural, I had to get the walls put like a smooth texture on there so it would adhere right, and then I had to go back and prime and paint that. So been getting ready for that mural, and then the other side of the wall, something figured out for that, and I also got that floated in smooth and repainted. So just trying to, like the early days of my laundry, I'm just trying to get all that stuff done.
Yeah, I'm flipping through pictures of your mat right now. It looks super good. So if you're interested, we'll have those up on the show notes. Photos of his laundromat, so you can check out those bulkheads and the machines in there, and the corrugated metal
Wainscoting.
Yeah, wainscoting there that you got there. Looks super good, man. Super clean. Yeah. Looks super nice.
Thank you.
What for your laundromat, what kind of like turns per day are you doing?
So I think I was probably doing about 5.5, 6 turns, and then it's dropped down to probably about 4.5. Like you said, it's dropped off a little bit. So I'm going to start doing some promoting, like you talk about a lot on the podcast. I really don't do a lot. So now that I have the time, and I'm going to start branching off and getting, paying for the Google ads or the Facebook ads, and just start getting more educated about that, and then start doing that to try and build it back. I'm not even really worried about getting some of the, like you said, you don't want all customers. So I'm trying to go for that higher end customer. So I don't necessarily get all those customers back, but maybe just acquire some new customers. So yeah.
Cool. You're killing it. 4.5 to 6 turns. You're doing awesome, man. That's killer.
Yeah.
I love that. So you mentioned you're doing a lot of coin collecting. Is it coin only?
I have the Pay Range app, so
Okay.
coin and Pay Range, but primarily my customers like the coin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you have an idea of like the breakdown of coin versus pay range?
Yeah, the Pay Range is minimal, like not even 5%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Typically, that's what I hear. Something like 5 to 15-ish%.
But they're improving that, and they partnered with some other company, and you can offer different incentives and things like that, which I haven't taken advantage.
Yeah, it might be something worth looking into down the line.
Yeah.
Or not. I don't know. If you're fine with it.
Yeah. One location's okay. Like you said, you scale up and you need to manage multiple stores.
Yeah.
One's okay.
How far do you live from this mat now? Are you still?
Probably like 15, 20 minutes. Not bad. Yeah.
That's LA time. So we're like 3 or 4 blocks away or something.
Yeah. No, it's not bad at all. It's convenient. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's super nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we got another segment of the podcast called Secret Sauce.
Uh-huh.
And Secret Sauce is just if you had to give, one tip or maybe one thing that's working well for you, your laundromat that you think other laundromat owners could implement. What would be your kind of one tip there?
Stay on top of your drain maintenance. Get your drains hydrojetted every 6 to 12 months. Get your dryer vents cleaned every 12 months. And don't get behind on your machine maintenance. Just live by the motto: if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So don't belittle those things. They catch up on you, and the customers notice them.
Dude, I love that. Way to bring in the like military-esque, like, hey, stay ready. You don't have to get ready. I'm just writing that quote down. That's great. I love that. We need a little more, military in our industry here. Stay ready. Get ready. I like that. Great advice. Actually, you know what I like about this secret sauce advice is it's so boring and it's nothing flashy, right? And it's so critical. That's what I really love about this advice is it's like just so practical and critical to keep on your maintenance schedule, keep those drains clear, keep the lint out of your store and out of the lines and everything, right? And like those are, if you go to, like you said, you bought this laundromat, right? You pull off the panel and there's lint everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And there's not enough, you've got horizontal, exhaust lines for the lint. And there's just sitting in there and they're just clogging it, right? Like there's so many of us, I'll just throw myself in there. There's so many of us that would benefit from, just keeping that schedule of keeping things clean and clear and running smoothly.
Yeah, the customers don't know what's going on, but they know that the machines are working right, and then they come back.
Yeah, and it can be easy to focus on the things that make a visual impact, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
you should focus on those things. You should do those things, but these other sort of behind the curtain things that are easy to ignore,
Right.
they can bring your business down to its knees, like the previous owner found out that you bought the laundromat from. So, love it. All right, so the next segment we have of the show is pro tips, and that's listen, whether you feel like it or not, you are a seasoned veteran of this industry. Speak to the newbies here for a second. Trying to buy their first laundromat, what's your best piece of advice for somebody in that situation?
You probably try and get all the education you can about it, and then form a vision on what it is that you're going after. From the type of store that you want to get or you don't want to get, and what you want to grow into, and the size of the store, and what if you're going to have ancillary pickup and delivery or drop off and things like that, so you have the room to grow. Like I'm capped on what I can do right now because the square footage just isn't there enough, space isn't there. So just form that vision and then get yourself started on the right track. That way you can grow and just, just be on the right track from the beginning.
Great advice. Listen, this is I'm not fishing for anything here, and I want you to give other places. Where can people get educated, or where do you recommend people go to get educated in the business? Besides the obvious number one place to ever go, which is Laundromat Resource, right?
Yeah.
Any place else you recommend people go to get educated in the business?
Join the association. They have a lot of things to offer. The clean show, it's well worth the trip. It's a place, get out of town, get away from your business, and get refreshed. And then just if you love laundries, laundry's everything. Those clean shows are pretty impressive. They have everything there, and you find things that you might not see otherwise. You might not hear about, and little known things. So they're pretty interesting. And then reading, it's not just laundry books. It's anything having to do with business. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think that's a great book to read. Multiple Streams of Income is a book I read a long time ago and got me interested in real estate and all the different things. Something I heard on here, The Go-Giver. That was something I read recently and someone mentioned it recently, and that was a great little story and got me reinvigorated, motivated how to do things the right way. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is often recommended on here, and I second that. I think that's a great book. And then also you talked about the concept of becoming your own banker, and I looked a little more into that, and there's a book called by Nelson Nash. Describes that more in depthly, and something I'm thinking I'm going to get involved with, or maybe try and do. Especially if you start being successful, you need to know how to what to efficiently do with that money. So I think that's a good book. And then also the association puts out Planet Laundry, and of course, like you said, the podcast, has everything on there. So that's what I recommend.
That was an epic list. I'll include links to all those things that you mentioned there in the show notes, in case anybody wants to check any of them out. You mentioned The Go-Giver. It's so funny because it's such a short little read, and it's just a story, but it does jazz you up, man. It gets you inspired to get after it. It's so good.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, I have sort of 2 more questions to wrap this thing up. One is, you mentioned networking, maybe partnering. Do you have any, listen, you gave the advice. I'm going to throw it right back at you. You gave the advice, kind of note in the pro tips, know what you're going after, form a vision of what you're going after. Do you have a vision of where you want to go? Do you want to get more laundromats? Do you want to?
I'm kind of taking it back to the beginning of where I'm making the most out of the store I got, trying to get it as a blueprint of how I would want to run other stores. And if I can't accomplish it there in just one location, then I don't have any business trying to do it in multiple locations. So getting that store just right, the way I would like it to be run, be my blueprint to go forth. And like I said, I'm just kind of trying to get out there and see if there's a possibility of a partnership, because I still, even after all these years, I still have my weak points of running it, the whole thing, and doing it right and being on scale. So and entertaining that, and just trying to get more educated, and but most and foremost is just getting that store exactly the way I want it, get it operating optimally.
Can I ask about that a little bit?
What's that?
What would that look like for your store for you to feel like, okay, the store's good enough to where I want it, to where I feel like I could go. I have business now to go out and get another one. What would that look like?
So it looks like a commercial location, like a chain. That doesn't have to necessarily be a laundromat, but just that chain look where everything looks tight. The painting is all consistent. I have some hodgepodge paintings, even though you can't see it on camera there, but I know it's there. The color scheme isn't 100% consistent. I want to get that mural on the wall, and then I want to get a professional photographer, come in there and take photography, and then get my website, get it uploaded on the website, and just have something that I'm proud of, and that I can put on a flyer, and I want to do another flyer distribution and just do like a door hanger this time and have like one of those codes where you just do it with your phone, and then that takes you right to the site, and then it has, that impressive laundry that they can open and look at. So basically just a commercial look to it, and a commercial run in the way it's run as well. So, look at the big guys and operate on the big guys, and then I'll feel like I'm ready to go. A full circle plan.
Yeah. Okay. So the whole first part of what you just said,
Mm-hmm.
the mural's going up next week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Paint is just paint.
Yeah.
Flyer, some photos and design, and you can. So I mean, you're 2 weeks out of that side of things,
Right.
So just I mean, I'm just curious, like operationally. I mean, you said, hey, look, operationally, I want it to operate, like a chain, like the big boys are doing it. What would that look like for you to feel like? I mean, because if you're doing 4.5 to 6 turns a day, somewhere in there, like you're doing something right.
Right.
There's a lot of quote unquote big boys that aren't doing 6 turns a day in their laundromats.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. I'm just kind of probing a little bit, because you sound like you're ready to go, or right on the verge of ready to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious, like, what's the gap here? What are we talking? Do you know?
Now, when I'll get that next door, you're saying, or I don't know what the question.
Like when you feel like you're ready. I mean, because I was saying kind of like, what's holding you back from getting that next one? You said.
Well, I've been since I've retired, I've been putting efforts towards this. It's been calculated and formulated, and I've been putting measurable efforts towards it. So yeah, I don't know exactly what it looks like 100%. Like I just think that I may be a partnership, because I don't know that I don't want to risk it all on my own, just because I just don't know how it is to have employees and all what that comes with, and I can't run it myself. I can't run multiple stores myself. It'd be miserable. I've been putting too many hours in my store, one location right now, and I don't want it to look like that. I don't want it to run like that. So I need to incorporate employees and how that works, and get someone else's experience with that, and put in the mix of it, I think.
Yeah, I see. Okay. So, I mean, really it comes down to like, you've got to figure out who can help you put a couple systems in place, like an employee or two, to help you. You feel like you can't do more than one location the way you're doing it now. Exactly. It's got to change. So you need somebody to help you figure out sort of how does it need to change, and kind of help you run that way.
That's right.
I see. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I think there's a good shot that person is listening to this right now. So if that's you, or if you want to just kind of network with Chuck a little bit, or if you've got questions, Chuck, what's the best way that somebody can get a hold of you? Awesome. And we'll have that email address. It's stadiumcoinlaundry@gmail.com. And stadiumcoinlaundry.com. Is that your laundromat's website?
That's right.
Yeah. So we'll have a link and the email address in the show notes, YouTube down below in the description. And listen, Chuck says he wants to network with you. So network with Chuck. And Chuck, man, first of all, when you get that mural up, let me know, and I want to come out and check it out in person.
Awesome.
We can do a you and me selfie in front of that mural together. That'd be fun.
That sounds great. All right. Yeah, I'll let you know.
We'll do that. And listen, reach out to Chuck, network with him, and hey, if you fit the bill of what he's looking for potentially, reach out to him. I think that could be very cool. Chuck, man, this has been incredible. There's so much tangible, just practical stuff in here that I know a ton of people are going to get a lot of useful stuff out of this, whether they're looking to buy their first laundromat or they are running their own laundromats now. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on here, share your story, share your experience, your knowledge, your sage advice. I appreciate it a lot, man.
No problem. Appreciate the podcast. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no problem. And, listen, we're going to have to do another one at some point where we're, sitting on the beach or something, making all those East Coasters jealous.
That's right.
Their coast is frozen over.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome. Sounds great. West Coast, best coast. We'll leave it
Yeah,
at
that's
that.
right.
Appreciate it, man. And we'll talk soon.
Okay. Talk to you later.
All right. Hope you loved that interview with Chuck. So much good stuff packed in there. Don't forget, connect up with Chuck. If you need to take an action step and you're not sure what to do based off of this episode, best one to do is connect up with Chuck, or go check out laundromatresource.com/join and join the community of other people who are weirdly into laundromats, just like you and me. All right. We'll see you over there, and we'll see you in next week's episode. Peace.